Every great love story needs a great beginning, and mine starts with Greg. We only met a few months ago, but it feels like we've known each other our whole lives. With Greg, suddenly, my deepest desires seem real. And my fantasies come to life. Get up! We haven't got $1 to our name. But who needs money when you're in love, right?
We're just wondering if maybe you could give us a ride?
Yeah. Yeah, I can give you a ride.
Great, thanks.
Because the truth is, when I'm with Greg, anything is possible.
Please
If Karina was 5 minutes late, she would call. When she didn't show up one day for work, that triggered an alarm. I could see that there was like 3 days of newspapers laying on the front lawn. The door was open, and I yelled in.
Karina? Karina?
She didn't answer, and so I went in. All her files were open, bank statements just spread everywhere. And I went, okay, something's not right. So I called the Redlands PD.
It was obvious to us that somebody had ransacked the residence. There was no sign of forced entry. That would suggest that either the door was open for somebody that Karina knew, or that somebody had access to her keys.
The good news is there's no blood, there's no signs of violence, so it could give the police some cause for hope that they might find her alive.
When I met Greg, he was doing time for robbery in Folsom Jail. I'm not going to pretend it was the most glamorous of starts, but then you can't choose how you fall in love, can you? People warned me away, said Greg was bad news. But it's like they say, any powerful man is nothing without the support of a strong woman. And while I might seem like the compassionate type, make no mistake, I've been evil since I was born.
Missing persons cases are very challenging for police, particularly with adults. There's a lot of questions. Did the person voluntarily decide that they were going to leave? Do they have mental issues that may have caused them to travel? There's a lot of questions, and certainly one of the hypotheses is foul play.
So when was the last time you saw Karina?
The first thing we did was contact as many of her co-workers and friends that we were able to locate.
As we got more information from Karina's friends, we established that she was last seen on Friday. Being missing for 3 days before the police get involved puts us behind the 8 ball.
The fact that you have an attractive 20-year-old woman who is now abducted and missing, the first thing you think about as an investigator is, was she abducted for, sexual purposes, to be raped? And that would typically point towards a male offender.
By now, Karina's family must be worried about their little girl. But I bet they're not picturing her with someone like me. Because anyone who meets me thinks I'm sweet as pie. Greg's the one with the reputation. Inmates at Folsom used to call him the Wolf because of his wild behavior.
Get up. Take off your panties, Karina. Take them off.
Well, the longer I'm with him, the more dark urges well up inside me. I think the time has come to let my own wolf off the leash.
We received a phone call from Laguna Beach Police Department that their officers had recovered some identification that was found under a trash receptacle. Those identifications belong to our missing victim, Karina Novus.
In addition, there was a healthcare card that belonged to someone named James Gregory Marlowe.
We found that he had quite an extensive criminal history. He's been in the system, and he's capable of any level of violence and criminal activity.
People with criminal history such as Marlowe's pose an extreme danger to the victims, and if he did in fact have a kidnapped victim with him, she was in extreme danger. That tossed away food bag divulged even more interesting things to the police. Inside it were also another driver's license of a young woman named Cynthia Lynn Kaufman.
She's very similar to the known missing victim. She's attractive, she's like 24 years old. So at this point, the police are thinking not only did he maybe kidnap Karina, but maybe he also kidnapped Cynthia Kaufman.
Because Karina had been missing by this time for 4 days, the clock seemed to be ticking away too fast. The police really wanted to find this young woman and save her life. It really intensified the investigation.
Greg thinks he lives up to his nickname, the Wolf. But to me, he's more like an obedient dog. Take Karina. I finished having fun with her a while ago. So I ordered Greg to stash her someplace safe. and he obeyed. That's the funny thing about love. It works both ways. I love Greg to death, and he does anything I want. Which is good, because he's not the sharpest knife in the drawer. And one of us needs to take control of our future.
Linnell Murray was a young female, about 19 years old, and she worked at a cleaners in Huntington Beach. She was supposed to show up for a date with her boyfriend, and she didn't show. He got worried and went to the business and found that it was still open, but that she wasn't there.
Money was missing from the till. Linnell's school books were still open on the counter.
The fact that you had two attractive females that were abducted in similar fashions certainly indicated that we were likely looking at the same suspect.
And so they're thinking, we've got a series of disappearances that are linked to this man.
Every good relationship needs a shared interest. Something a couple does to pass the time. And for me and Greg, it's drugs. In a perfect world, we'd spend all day in bed, getting high, living out our fantasies. That's why we snatched these girls off the streets. We take their money to buy the drugs. But, like a true addict,
Sure shot.
by the time we get them home, I'm craving more. And the only thing that beats the buzz of a young girl pleading for her life is when my hands pull the noose around her throat.
Pull it!
The next afternoon, after Linnell vanished, a woman who worked at the Huntington Inn went into room 307. When she stepped into the bathroom, she was horrified. She saw the body of a young woman. She was dead.
There was evidence of ligature marks on her neck, which suggested that she had been strangled. It appears that she's missing her undergarments. This certainly suggests that there was some type of sexual assault. They found that the room had been registered to a female using identification in the name of Linnell Murray, and that a credit card in the name of Linnell Murray was used to pay for it. The person at the hotel gave a physical description that did not match Linnell at all.
Now it became incumbent upon the detectives to find out who in the world was this woman who pretended to be Linnell Murray and checking in. Because Linnell is dead, Karina Novus is still missing, and the police are now desperate to find Karina and hope to save her life.
It's almost been a week since we took Karina. And every day since then, I've felt my love for Greg burning stronger. It's like every scream fuels my desire. And I can't stop now. Because I know when I feel the blood from the next girl on my skin, my love for Greg will roar louder than ever before.
So the police find Linnell, and she's been brutally murdered and likely a victim of sexual assault. They're starting to sink into the ugly reality that they may have two additional victims that are going to turn up dead, Karina and Cynthia. The trail leads back to an all-night restaurant where a waitress remembers a couple who may have used that credit card. And now it gets even more interesting.
They also showed her a picture of Cynthia Lynn Kaufman, and she said that was the woman with the man that night in the restaurant. They realized that Cynthia Lynn Kaufman is not a missing person or a victim. She is James Gregory Marlowe's partner.
They say your true heart lies in the place your mind wanders to. And I'm always daydreaming about my future with Greg. We'll have this house in the country, maybe a daughter of our own.
It's okay.
The money we scored from robbing that last girl was meant to make the whole thing possible. But things didn't work out. So, we'll find another. I'll have my life with Greg, whatever it takes.
Additional investigation revealed that in Kentucky 4 months earlier, a young man had been killed, apparently a hit for a drug deal. Marlowe and Kaufman were very strong suspects in that case.
The police realize they've got a couple of spree killers with no limits, likely feeding off of each other, and until they catch them, they're going to keep finding bodies.
Linnell Murray is dead, but they still think they have a chance to save Karina. Patrol cars were driving up and down, and two patrolmen spotted a woman with dark hair and a man with a mustache. They realized who this couple was. They jumped out, they yelled, "Freeze!" They put their hands up and submitted, and very meekly, they did not resist.
When you're born with a gift, you're meant to use it. And Greg and I are natural born killers, just like Bonnie and Clyde. But unlike Bonnie, I've no intention of following my man to the grave. Because deep down, I'm a good girl, and I deserve to walk free.
Look at Marlowe. He's the one with significant violent criminal history. And so they're going to assume that he's the leader.
Marlowe, being a hard-bitten criminal, he said it was 50-50. We both participated. But that's all he would say. He would give no details.
Where's Cynthia Kaufman?
Why are you asking me about Cynthia?
You should talk to Cynthia.
Kaufman virtually blamed Marlowe for everything. She admitted being with him, but Marlowe did it all in her story. Kaufman then told me that they took Karina from this friend's house, drove out to a vineyard in the Fontana area. Marlowe got out of the car, took Karina with him, was gone, and then came back alone.
We still have hope that because Karina's body hasn't been discovered at this point, that she might still be alive.
Police, still desperately hoping to save Karina Novus's life, said, "Will you take us there? Will you show us where it is?" Kaufman agreed.
It's a race against time because they know she can last only so long to the elements out in the middle of nowhere.
In the vineyard, it's dark, it's 3 a.m., 3 or 4 officers have flashlights. They're walking all over. One of them yelled out, "Hey, over here." One of the officers went down on his hands and knees and started digging, and he found the hand of Karina Novus.
We had been hoping for a week that some miracle would occur and we would find her alive and we could return her to her family. It was just devastating to all of us.
She had dirt compacted in her mouth. It took 2 hands to strangle her with the ligature and another hand on the back of her head pushing her down into the dirt. This meant that 2 people were involved in killing her.
The autopsy findings basically exposed the lie that Kaufman had told, that she had no involvement in the death of Karina.
A lot of people think that Marlowe was the muscle and Kaufman was the brains of this team, and I agree.
Kaufman was manipulative, she was deceptive, she killed because she enjoyed the power she derived from the suffering of these victims and from the taking of human life.
It's my opinion that they formed the perfect criminal storm. There was a synergy between the 2 of them that caused these heinous crimes to occur.
Anyone will tell you that for a love story to be a classic, it needs a tragic ending. And the fact that I'll never see my wolf again is downright heartbreaking. They say Greg and I are pure evil, that we're a deadly mix. But being in love can make you do some crazy things. I'll never find a love as deep as Greg's. But if I close my eyes, I can still hear the screams. And that's almost as good.